Welcome to Teacher Tom Hanoi. This is a mock IELTS listening exam. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. I repeat, all the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Good luck. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between a woman who wants information about a language school and the school administrator. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. This is the Bridge Language School. Can I help you?
Yes, I'd like some information about courses, please.
Okay, well, I'm the school administrator and my name is Stephen. What would you like to know?
When is your next language course? My neighbour wants to join an English class. He's a beginner.
Well, there is a course running now, but it finishes in July. And then the next will start in September. That one runs until December.
That's great. And are there classes every day?
No, in fact, the language lessons take place in the mornings, on a Tuesday and Friday every week.
Perfect.
Actually, we've just got a new teacher who arrived last month. She's very popular with the students. Her name is Mrs. Reed.
Is that R-double-E-D?
No, R-E-A-D-E. Got that?
Thanks.
So, if your neighbour is a new student, he needs to come in himself to fill in some details before the course starts.
That's fine. Does he need to bring his passport in?
That won't be necessary, but he does need to have a photo with him so we can make up a student card.
No problem. And while I'm here, can you give me any information about your other courses, such as French and Spanish? I'd be interested in coming to one of those myself.
Oh, good. They are fun classes, but I only deal with English courses. You'll need to call my colleague for more information. She's Susan, and she's on 573992.
Thank you.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
I wonder if you could also give me some information about the social activities you organise for students.
Of course, we have a really good social program here, and there is something happening every week. On Wednesday evenings, we always have a meal for students in a local restaurant. And on Fridays, there's a big party every week in the town centre.
That sounds good. And how about trips to other places? Do you have any of those?
There are regular trips to nearby cities and places of interest. In a few weeks, we have one to London, for example. Students like coming with us because the trips tend to be really good value. The London one is just £40, which is a great price. It includes the travel costs, as well as a tour of the main sites, and the entrance fee to a place where we always take the students, a museum about the history of the city.
Okay. And are there any other events based here?
Yes, I forgot to mention the regular music club and also the film club. Students enjoy listening to live music in a local hall, while the film club is in a local hotel. Oh, no, it's changed venues. Sorry, it's now at the library.
Lovely. So if my neighbour wants to attend any of these events, how should he do that?
Well, he needs to sign his name on a list for any event. We have all the up-to-date details about these on a notice board in the cafe, and if he sees anything he fancies, he should add his name to the list in the office.
That is the end of part 1, and now you have a chance to check your answers. Now turn to part 2. Part 2.
You will hear part of a talk by a holiday resort representative to a group of holidaymakers. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moorbourne Holiday Resort. My name's Tom, and I'm one of the resort representatives. I'm here to give you some information about where things are and what events are going on in the next few days. Now, take a look at the maps you've all been given, as I want to point out one or two things. You can see the hotel where we are now at the bottom of the map, and if you look on the right-hand side of the map, you should see the lake and the play area for children. If you're interested in some relaxing beauty treatments, I can highly recommend the Beauty Spa, which is located by the entrance to the play area. That's the entrance by the lake, not the one in front of the hotel. If you're looking for something a bit more active, we have a fitness class which takes place every day outdoors, and that's held in the beautiful gardens near the swimming pool. If you come out of the hotel and walk along the road, past the multi-sports pitches, you'll see the swimming pool on your left, and the gardens are behind that building. Another great activity to do here is cycling around the area, and the bike hire is always popular with guests. If you're planning to hire bikes for the family, you'll need to head for the far side of the lake, and you'll see the bikes there. I can see we have a lot of families here this week, so please make use of our kids club. There will be staff supervising activities for young children every afternoon until 5 o'clock. If you've been here before, you'll remember it used to be located by the multi-sports pitches, but now there is a brand new building for this on the opposite side of the road, just in front of the hotel. Finally, you have probably already seen the little shop inside the hotel selling newspapers. That's on the ground floor at the right of the entrance. But if you're looking to buy souvenirs, there's a shop for that a few meters down the road. Just go past the swimming pool and it's on the left. Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20. Now, I'm going to tell you a bit more about the resort so you can get the best from your stay here. As you probably know, we are about 6 kilometers away from the town center. So if you're feeling energetic, it's possible to walk there and back. There is also a train that leaves from the station south of here, but if you want to save time, the fastest mode of transport is actually the bus, as it takes a direct route right into the center. As for the hotel, well, the restaurant is here on the first floor, and all the rooms are upstairs on the second floor. As you can see, the setting is traditional and peaceful, while still having plenty of modern facilities. Every room is fully equipped with air conditioning, and wherever your room is, there is a stunning view. Rooms at the front overlook the lake, while guests at the back of the hotel can see the pretty village down the hill. And whichever side you're staying on, you can see the mountains surrounding us. You should have everything you need for a wonderful stay. But if there is anything we can help you with, our staff are always ready to look after your needs. All meals are included. That's breakfast, lunch, and an evening meal. And for just a small additional cost, we can supply extras, such as afternoon tea. It would be our pleasure. Well, we're looking forward to a really great week of good weather. According to the recent forecast, the temperature next week should reach around 32 degrees Celsius. That's just above the average for the moment, which is 31. And a lot warmer than last week, when it didn't get any higher than 26 degrees. Bearing the weather in mind, there are a couple of organized activities you might be interested in tomorrow. At about 10:15, a group will be meeting in front of the hotel for a hike in the local area, led by one of our guides. If you like the sound of that, just come along then. Also tomorrow morning is our first sailing class. Anyone who wants to try that should meet at the lake. Bring a swimming costume and get there by 10. I'm sure you'll enjoy your stay here, and I'm on hand.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers to Part 2. Now turn to Part 3. Part 3.
You will hear a conversation between an art student called Peter and his tutor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Dr. Wilson. I was hoping to talk to you about the course I want to take next term and ask your advice on one or two things.
Yes, certainly. It's the course in art conservation that you're thinking of taking, isn't it?
That's right. I'm very interested in a future career in an art gallery, and one of the other lecturers said this course could be good preparation. Having said that, my sister did a similar course and she loved it, but wasn't convinced it would be right for me.
Well, I spoke to one of your classmates last week who thought you'd do well on the course, and I have to agree.
Oh, good.
And I understand you've been finding out a bit more about working in art conservation.
Yes, I called one of the restorers from the art museum in the city, and we had a long conversation. I felt quite inspired by what she said about the pleasure of leaving art in good condition for future generations. And it was interesting to hear about the range of artists and others she collaborates with. In her view, though, it's the opportunities to expand your knowledge that bring the greatest job satisfaction.
Wonderful. So, do you think there are any gaps in your skills or knowledge at the moment?
I'm not entirely sure. I think I could do with revising what I know about the history of art, as that's bound to be useful.
OK, that is relevant to the course, but I think it's an area that you're already very familiar with. I think you do need to brush up on the scientific aspects of this subject. The use of chemicals and laboratory equipment in art conservation is something you'll need a thorough understanding of. Another requirement is to be efficient and well organised, but I've seen plenty of evidence of that from you already.
Right, thank you.
Now, you've just done some volunteering in this area, I think.
Yes, I worked as a volunteer at the Gallery of Traditional Art alongside a couple of art conservationists. I did 2 weeks and it was really helpful for me.
Good. And was the job everything that you had expected?
Most of it was, yes. One thing that struck me actually was the amount of physical work. With the larger sculptures, we had to get up ladders and sometimes move very heavy objects around, which I hadn't previously considered would be required. But then there was also a lot of sitting at a desk, writing up descriptions of what had been done, which was more what I could have predicted the job would be.
And did you learn much about future professional training and development?
Yes, but actually I'd read up on that before volunteering, so I already knew about that.
Good. So you'll have a few weeks before the course starts. Have you got any plans for the next month?
Actually, I was looking forward to visiting the History Museum in the city, as they've got a large conservation department there. But I've heard that it's being renovated, so there isn't much point going there at the moment. I'm really excited about getting started on a little task by myself, as I've got a couple of pieces from an antique shop that I think I can practice my restoration skills on.
Good idea. And haven't you arranged to get together with a professor of art who specialises in this area for a chat?
Yes, I tried to, but he's away at the moment, so I'm hoping to sort that out in a few months' time.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now, do you want to talk about the introductory workshops on the course? You'll need to decide which ones you'd like to take, but I can tell you a bit more about them first if you like.
Yes, thanks. So, first on the list is the ceramics workshop. I've heard that it's not at all like the other courses, as it's taught quite differently.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It actually links theory and practice very closely, so you learn skills that you can use straight away. But I wouldn't say it was particularly unusual. I'm not sure it's an area that'll suit you necessarily.
Okay. And what about the module on cleaning paintings?
Well, if you like the sound of that, sign up for it soon because it can be quite difficult to book a place. Based on previous experience, demand from students has been high.
Yes, I'd heard that. It's highly recommended.
Then there's a workshop on looking after picture frames. The supervisors on that session are both professional frame restorers who spent years in the field. Well worth going to.
Yes, I read their profiles on the website, and I think I could learn a lot from them. There are so many good options, though. I'm finding it hard to choose. How would you describe the workshop on sculptures?
That's interesting because students are asked to select which type of material to work with. There's a choice of working with wood, metal, or stone.
That sounds as though it would be good for anyone specialising in those materials, but maybe not for me.
I think it has a broad enough focus, and the other one is about how to work with paper.
I have had some experience of conserving works of art on paper when I looked at drawings and sketches.
This workshop can present quite a challenge for the less studious, as it really does require a lot of background reading and research to learn how to work with the paper.
I see. Well, thanks very much for all your help, Dr. Wilson.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers to Part 3. Now turn to Part 4. Part 4.
You will hear a science student giving a presentation about a young boy who has become a successful inventor. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. My presentation today is about creativity, invention, and an exceptional young boy. Peyton Robinson is an American teenager who is stunning the world of science with his innovative thinking and his drive to solve problems. He has been highly praised and gained a degree of fame for his practical inventions that aim to make the world a better place. He initially came up with a plan when listening to the news about the effects of a huge hurricane on the east coast of the USA. People struggled to hold back the water that surged across the land, and by the time the floods had receded, thousands had been forced to leave the area, and billions of dollars of damage had been caused. One of the biggest issues with seawater flooding is the destruction caused when salt reacts with building materials such as metal and concrete. The extent of the damage can be contained to some degree by fast and thorough cleaning up after the water has drained away. However, if the salt isn't cleaned away effectively, it can corrode buildings, roads and pavements and cause continuing problems for electrical systems. According to civil engineers, the best way to stop most flood damage is with preventative measures. The most common of these is the construction of walls to block surges of water in places that are considered to be at risk. However, in the case of an extreme storm, this may not be sufficient, and that's when emergency crews turn to a last resort, filling sandbags to build temporary barriers. Sandbags are very common as a water barrier, but they have their pros and cons. While they have in their favour being cheap and easy to make, they are also heavy, and manoeuvring them into place can be hard work, even causing injury. So after listening to the news, 12-year-old Peyton started thinking. He wanted to come up with something other than sand to fill the bags with. He found that there was already an alternative filling, which was polymer, a type of plastic, but this was too light to hold back the water. His idea was to add salt. This increased the weight, but reduced the amount the polymer could expand, which in turn stopped it from soaking up the water. Through numerous calculations and a process of trial and error, Peyton eventually settled on the right amount of salt to add to the bags. Having resolved that challenge, Peyton then developed the bags further by designing and adding fasteners, enabling the bags to be strongly connected in order to form an extremely effective barrier. With his new design fully formed, Peyton made a video about his invention and entered a competition for young scientists. He was selected as one of several finalists. Peyton was given a further 3 months to tweak his invention before presenting it to the judges in person, and to this end was assigned a scientist who could give advice and guidance. Peyton travelled to Minnesota to meet the judges, and after demonstrating his prototype, he was awarded the top prize, which included $25,000 as well as a trip to Costa Rica. Not content with this achievement, Peyton is now thinking about his next project, and he has again been inspired by stories in local news reports. In Florida, where he lives, fruit growers are currently suffering as a particular disease causes citrus fruit to drop early, and Peyton is now investigating the possibility of immunising the trees from this disease. So, what is the secret of this young boy's incredible success? Perhaps it's all down to his attitude. It seems that other young inventors and innovators could learn from his example when he says that he is not daunted or discouraged when experiments don't succeed as intended, but rather learns from them. This way of looking at experimental work is surely key to progress and accomplishment.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 30 seconds to review your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the mock IELTS listening exam. You now have 10 minutes to review and transfer your answers from the exam paper to the answer sheet provided. Thank you for your attention. Let us know in the comments what score you got. Also, please like and subscribe for more mock IELTS exams. Thank you, and see you in the next video.